All right, guys, we're going back to Andrew Wilson. We're going to just react to him. He's debating some of these crazy ladies. Andrew, make these women upset for speaking biological facts. Let's jump in.
Now, as all of you are saying that if we aged you forward, you think that you would be much more attractive. And this isn't to pick on anybody, but there is a woman in the room right now who's 35 years old. Okay, she's 35 years old. You do realize that you can't escape age. She knows it. She's 35. You can't escape, right? There's just no escape for any of you. You are going to hit that number. And do you honestly think that you're going to look the same that you do now or better? You don't think that that's slightly delusional? Like, for instance, I'll give you an example.
Also, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you can help me with the algorithm. And comment as well.
Do you think that if the average, 25-year-old millionaire had to select between the 35-year-old or the young women who were here, from the 35-year-old's perspective, which one do you think they would select for?
I think they would probably go for somebody that's younger.
Yeah.
Because they want young, that is a thing. I do see that. I do see that. They've always got a young girl on their arm, and it's more of a trophy kind of thing. It does make sense. I mean, at my age,
it's not just a trophy thing, it's an attraction thing.
Yeah.
You can't be with people you're not attracted to, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You can imagine that people, there has to be attraction for there to be a relationship, right? That's at least, I think, a thing we can all agree on. You got to be attracted to who the person is you're with. So it's if it is the case that they would select for all of the other women who are in the room, what you're saying is that the men would be more attracted to the other women in the room. It's not a dunk or even trying to beat up on you. It's just pointing out the distinction between at 35, 40 years old, you're not going to look anywhere like you do right now. All right? And that's a delusional take to think otherwise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, good point.
But Kim Kardashian and Megan Fox look so good, and they're in their 40s.
When you're asking,
so you have a combination of plastic surgery, personal trainers, huge amounts of makeup, filters, everything else in between. Sometimes though, these actresses get snapshot. They get a paparazzi takes a quick snap while they're not in their filtered makeup.
And especially Megan Fox, man, she aged bad, man. She hit the wall, guys. Megan Fox hit the wall. A lot of these females, they hit the wall. Because they can keep some of her beauty. You think that's your standard? You can keep some of it? This is the delusion right here, guys.
Induced, Hollywood glam. And they don't look so great, do they? A lot of them don't look so great. You look at them and you're like, she just looks like a plain chick after all.
I'm sorry,
when all that glam is gone.
Haley. But from Haley's perspective, right, she already is in her mid-30s. And I think a lot of us kind of said we would peak attractively in our mid-30s. Or at least I think a couple of us.
Yeah.
Nope.
I agree with that. you
now you're projecting of who you're attracted to. Females do not pick at 35 or 30. They don't. They pick at 25.
Feel like you are more attractive than you were, right, with your glow up over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I personally think in my 30s will be my peak. I'm not saying in my 40s I'm going to be more attractive than now, but I would say in my 30s I'm going to peak.
That's crazy.
Yeah, probably you're going to peak in your mid-20s like almost every other woman does.
What?
There's a reason.
But I also think that it's quite hard.
There's a reason why the peak for women is in their 20s. It's this is a referent to childbearing. It's a referent to fertility. Men would be biologically and necessarily hardwired to be attracted towards women who were fertile. The older women get, the less fertile they become. It's that simple. It's just basic math, right?
Can I ask you a question? Is that okay?
Sure.
When do you think men peak? And if so, do you think you've already peaked?
Well, women don't have the same problem with men.
Totally.
It's always what about the men though kind of argument. She's just trying to get it back to Andrew.
I peaked years ago.
I'm a health science major.
I'm ugly and old, but I don't give a shit, right? It's not important to me. But the thing is
it's a neg. She's trying to neg him.
For men, when you're talking about a peak, women aren't tying things into fertility because men are always fertile. They're basically always fertile. They're having babies in their 90s. Women are not. Okay.
No, but
Women are
but
not
men have
doing that.
ED.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Hang on. So it's not tied
Wow.
necessarily.
For men high ED, hey, congratulations. Wow, you got an argument. Wow, some men has erectile dysfunction. Wow, what an argument, huh? Wow, so that means the men are the same as women. That's what it is. That's what you're trying to convey. I don't know what they say. These one-liners that make no. They sound like a Facebook or Instagram post, reposted like a million times.
To fertility, women can be attracted to men based around resources, protection, social status, and the hierarchy. These are things that men aren't generally attracted to women over, though. They don't care about what a woman's status is in the hierarchy. If you're a beautiful girl who works at Starbucks, you're just attractive to the millionaire, as if you're a beautiful girl who works in Hollywood.
Yep.
It's not important where you stand in the hierarchical structure of things like it is from a woman's perspective with men.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense? So we're selecting for different things.
I mean, it makes sense, but also, like, I don't know. I guess it makes enough sense. I'll take that answer.
Yeah. We're just selecting for different things, right? It's like
I
a
guess.
woman
Do
in
you
her
think-
20s knows a man in his 40s can still impregnate her.
Yep.
And if she has tons of he has tons of resources and he's reasonably attractive, that seems like a pretty good gambit for her, right? But for a man to get together with a woman in her 40s, chances of fertility they significantly decrease. Even by the time
So
you
is
get your
this-
early 30s, they begin to significantly decrease.
So this is going by men that obviously want children. They're not going to look at a woman that's 35 and find them that
No,
attractive
not for men
because
who want children. That's incorrect. How men perceive attractive, what is attractive, is going to be tied to fertility because it's hardwired
Yeah.
whether they want kids or not.
so that's going back to
But that-
caveman times. Their instinct.
shame
It's
sandwich.
going into human
That's
physiology.
a small sign language there.
So
I mean,
that's
it is
sense.
true. What he's saying
Yeah.
is true,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So from a men's,
Unfortunately, sign language, guys. Your desires, though your desire and your standards should be chained. They can have all the desires that they want. You can have standards.
just asking for
Wait,
clarification.
why is it unfortunate though?
I mean, I think that women should be looked at as more than like just like an incubator for babies.
And shouldn't-
I know that it's hardwired. Like I said, I
But-
just completely understand
Well, they're
that
not
it
being
is.
looked at. No, that's an incorrect take anyway. Nobody's saying that women should be looked at as only incubators. We're just talking about attraction.
That's crazy.
So you can't be with a person you're not attracted. Well, I think men should be looked at as more than wallets, but some of you just want a billionaire, right? And that's more important than personality, apparently. So the
Hey, that
men
was
should be
one of
looked
us.
at as more than just wallets and your system of protection, right? And you say, I think that you do look at men as not just that, right? You don't just look at them as wallets, right? So, so why would I assume that because you found a man more attractive because he made more money, that means you only see him as that?
Okay, I feel like that kind of clarifies things. So you're saying it represents fertility, but they also need to be attracted to other things. This isn't
No, I'm
just
saying
about
the
fertility.
reason they are attracted to them is because
For
it
fertility.
makes sense for the survival of the species for men to be attracted, the most attracted to fertile women.
Sure.
You want men in the species to be fighting over the most fertile women. You want them to be warring and competing and doing all the shit that they need to do in order to get the most fertile women. Why?
Totally.
Because
Natural
they
instinct.
can
sounds
spread
stressful, to be honest.
their genetics, right? They're going to spread their
exhausting.
genetics. The most fertile women are going to be younger. And
Yes, lady here in the middle, she's not liking what Andrew's saying. She's really chest testing him, and worse, just the British accent doesn't help her either. It's coming out as arrogant.
of course, the attraction level is going to be the highest. There's like, from just a survival of the human race perspective, that's necessary, right? If
mean,
all
I-
the men,
I
in other words,
agree.
let's say we switched it and all the men became only attracted to 60-year-old women, right? They don't want nothing to do with young, fertile women anymore. They were only attracted to 60-year-olds. That would be a terrible survival strategy for our species, right? That would be like a terrible, but the species would go extinct, right?
Totally.
So I'm just asking for clarification in terms of like physical attributes of a woman, like what makes them more attractive specifically.
You mean
Does that make sense?
like,
From like a guy,
yeah,
right? If
well,
you walk
there-
into a bar and you're like
Yeah.
looking and gazing across all of the women
yeah,
in the bar.
characteristics of preferences may vary from man to man, right? For what they distinctly find attractive in individual women. Perhaps some like bigger eyes, some like smaller eyes, some like bigger breasts, some like smaller breasts. That can vary, but there's going to be some things which are universals. One thing that's going to be universal is that generally
Fertility.
the younger the woman
Yeah.
is, obviously within reason, women we're talking about here, the younger they are, generally, the more attractive they appear to the opposite sex, at least from the man's perspective.
So if, and this is just a theoretical, so if in 10 years I'm saying I peak because I don't have as much of a baby face, but I still have the same build, I'm still pretty like tiny, I have a youthful looking body still. How will that distinguish? Like,
Because if men can select, if the type of man you
It's
want,
just they don't want to accept that men have standards and desires. They don't want to accept it, guys. That's what it is. They just simply want to just shame you for having standards. You see how naive they're asking these questions? It's just basically acting like they don't know what the hell's going on. Because by noticing these things, it just encapsulates their plans, their strategy, their meeting strategy, which is basically what? Use your sexuality, right, against you. And not only that, by shaming you. So it's like they shame you because you have to like them how they are. So it's a way of them just controlling the entire interaction, guys. That's what it is. That's what it is.
is the type of man who can select for the younger version of you, he will, because he'll be instinctually more attracted to that. Now, this is not always the case, and it's not going to be the case with every man, but it'll be generally the case.
And the more beta the man is, the more, it's interesting. I think I have a theory on this. The more beta the man is, the more, the older he wants his wife to be. Because think about it, if you're a beta, you just get what you can. So based on your status as a man, you just get the woman that is in your status.
Stats seem to bear this out.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say generally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Let me know what you guys think, guys. I'll see you next one.